In the studio now, Yvette Cooper, Chief Secretary to the Treasury, and her Conservative shadow, Philip Hammond, is also here. How long is this arrangement supposed to continue, Yvette Cooper?
Well, we're not setting a timeline on it at this stage, Jeremy. We've said that we want this to be temporary public ownership. We want to get it back into the private sector at the earliest possible opportunity.
You've no idea of how temporary is.
There are two things that we think we need to take into account. First is the restructuring plan that Ron Sandler is drawing up, and the second is the conditions in the market. The reason we're in this position is because the banks are not lending to each other. We've got the global credit crunch, those sorts of problems. If we hadn't intervened, the bank would have gone under. Northen Rock would have gone under. That would have caused much wider problems in terms of potential risk to the rest of the banking system.
But you do want it to take on new business?
Well, I think the first thing we've got to do is Ron Sandler has got to draw up what the restructuring plan should be.
What do you want?
What we want is to be able to return this into the private sector and to get a return to the taxpayer for the kinds of guarantees that the government has been putting in against the assets.
Of course you want that, but in business terms, do you want it to take on new business?
Well, as I said, that will be a matter for Ron Sandler to draw up. Now, we would expect it to continue. It's business as usual at the moment. We would expect it to continue. But what's important with this is that we get a return for the taxpayer. That's why we've taken this decision. It was a hard-headed decision to do that, but that we also preserve the financial stability of the wider banking system, which is why we got into this in the first place.
If it wants to carry on offering mortgages of 125%, that's OK by you?
Well, what it's got to do is operate under proper commercial terms,
it's Mr. Sandler's
but also
decision,
within the EU state aid rules as well. So, you know,
but if they want to do that, they can carry on doing it, because it's not your baby, you say.
Well, what we're not going to do is second-guess their decisions on individual products, and I don't think you would expect us to. I think that would be the wrong approach. The government's the shareholder. It's not going to take individual operational day-to-day decisions. It's the shareholder. It's got to approve the overall business plan, and that does mean operating. It's got to operate in a sustainable way. And
well, I'm asking you about the overall business plan, but you're not answering
in a sustainable way.
Philip Hammond, what do you make of it?
Well, it can't be business as usual. Once the government owns a bank and that bank has access to public funds, once it has to go through the EU state aid rules, there will have to be a downsizing process. There will have to be.
So there will be job losses?
I think Ron Sandler's alluded to this. It will have to be a smaller bank. Robert's spoken about the model that the private sector potential buyers were looking at. They all involved a significant downsizing of the business. And it is just, I think, not realistic for Alistair Darling to talk about business as usual. How can a state-owned bank compete in the marketplace with these high deposit interest products, these high loan-to-value mortgage products? Other banks will rightly cry foul, and the European Union will certainly do so as well.
That's going to be Mr. Sandler's decision, according to Yvette Cooper.
Well, except they say it's going to be run at arm's length, and then what have they done today? They've put Tom Scholar, the Prime Minister's former Chief of Staff, on the board of Northen Rock. That isn't my idea of arm's length, hands-off management by the government.